Yes, okay.
All right, so a very warm afternoon to every one of us who have stayed very consistent to the master class that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. It's been an interesting and almost always information or transformation full masterclass that we've been holding for some time now. We've had series of people talk to us about things that could literally transform the way we do things in the animal health sector and then of course in the livestock sector as a whole. Today, a couple of weeks back, we had somebody we thought was very phenomenal, somebody who threw light on a couple of things we're doing, and then, of course, a couple of things we can improve as a community of animal health professionals. The person has been really, really on top of quite a handful of ideas that has helped us in the last few weeks that he had been on board to also give us a new perspective into what we should be thinking and, of course, how we need to be thinking. Today, this same person is back and he's going to be sharing with us something I think everybody needs to pay attention to. Something I think it's unique, something that if you learn is really going to give you way, is going to make you, is going to keep you steps ahead of your colleagues or step ahead of people in the same industry that really don't have access to this information. The person I'm talking about is a professor, one of the soundest professors that we have in recent time, vast, and of course has a very beautiful heart to help. Professor Fasina, he's the country director of ECTA, and then of course FAO in Tanzania. I'm going to be bringing up Professor Fashino up shortly. All right, so let's have him. Prof. Okay, it's like you want to change your screen. Are you okay with the phone or you want to use your laptop?
I tried the laptop and it's connected now, so I'm thinking
So,
of switching to the laptop.
all right, so let's switch you off then. Let's take off the phone and switch you off. All right, fantastic.
Good.
Prof, good to have you again. Is really, really very good. The last
Thank
time you were
you.
with us, you offered us really very powerful and useful insights that could really take our practice to the next level. And then you mentioned really something, maybe not very surprising because of your kind of quality of energy, but something we are all interested in, your ability to be able to raise funds to fund your passion, right? It's one thing to have a passion. Somebody says that passion without funds is like annoyance. So we have a lot of people who are annoyed with the government, annoyed with themselves, annoyed with senior colleagues, annoyed with virtually everybody because not been able to see how we can harness what you know to be able to create an easy ride for what we are doing. Fortunately for us today, you're going to be sharing with us insights into how to raise grants, the easy ones available, and what we need to do. So today we have you, and then please you can just set up a tone, and then let's have it going. Welcome, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, of course we can.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm grateful for this opportunity to appear once again. And I don't take it for granted that my colleague can give me a platform to speak to them on issues like this. You see, the issue of grantsmanship or funding up. The truth is that we can never have enough. Even the government can never have enough. That's why even government are going to borrowing and tie money down and look for extra funds from different sources. We understand our president recently was at the United Nations meeting, UN General Assembly, and was asking that for debt forgiveness. It's a form of grantmanship. Forgive our previous debt so that we can start to borrow another one. Well, that's what our politicians know. But for us as scientists or for us as professionals, we also need grants to to stimulate whatever we are doing. And the first thing I would like to say is that they said when you see people who win grants regularly, you say, "Oh, this guy is very lucky." I once mentioned it. I said, "Luck is what happened when preparation meets opportunity."
Exactly.
Preparation is there, it meets opportunity.
Mm,
That's when you say somebody is lucky.
mm,
So every one of us can be
mm,
lucky at one point in time or the
mm,
other, depending on if we do it right.
mm,
And having that basis, we also need to understand that grant is not only left for researchers and people who are doing publication and research in the university are also. Grant can be for everybody.
mm,
Indeed, grant can be mainly for research. That's what we know most of the time. So
mm,
we left researchers to seek most of the grant. But there are grants up or scaling up of businesses.
mm. Exactly.
So if you are into practice and you are doing well, or you set a good tone in your practice
Mm,
and you are looking for money to scale it up, there are
mm,
quite a lot of money around
mm,
also for scaling up businesses. For
mm,
example, the Tony Elumelu Foundation gives such grant,
mm,
Bill Gates gives such grant,
mm,
Mo Ibrahim gives such grant to
mm,
scale up businesses. And
mm,
there are so many of them. So, as part of what I'll be sharing with you today, I will share with you some of the databases where these different type of grants you can
mm,
also have access to them.
mm,
There are also grants for mobility. For
mm,
example, you are a researcher in Africa. You
mm,
think to do better, you need to maybe move to Europe or to America to
mm,
maybe go do part of your work before you come back,
mm,
or you to be able to do a cutting edge research in those
mm,
countries. Maybe if you don't have such facility, for example, if you are into maybe genome research now, or you are into some high end research wherein the facilities for it is not easily available here,
mm,
you can seek for mobility grant to move you to do your work. I have benefited from such grant before. I
mm,
was struggling with part of my PhD at one time when I was in Nigeria. I wrote a concept to ILRI, International Livestock Research Institute. They facilitated a mobility grant for me. They paid for everything. I stayed in an hotel for 6 months in Spain and work in the biosafety level 3 laboratory in Valdeolmos in Spain. And then I was travel driven like an executive. Though I was a small boy, but I enjoyed all the privilege
mm,
because there's an organization who believe in me and who was
mm,
willing to commit fund to it to
mm,
make sure I get that done. So
mm,
you can also get grant for events or organization. For
mm,
example, I found out that our MVMA, for example,
mm,
we are having a meeting, or the one that we just becoming on very soon.
mm,
I know organizations in other countries. For example, like I was invited to the SASVEM, South African Society for Vet Epidemiology and Preventive Medicine,
mm,
just last month to come
mm,
and give a talk. They paid my way to and fro from Tanzania down to South Africa back. They put me in an hotel for 2 days. I told them, "Oh, I'm coming to South Africa. My family is here." Okay, they paid for my wife to come and join me, and they took care of us completely, and they took care of so many other things. And
mm,
when I look at where did they is from USDA. USDA in
mm,
USA. Okay, who are the people you want to bring who will add the color to your meeting? Okay, we can facilitate it. So they
mm,
gave them a grant of close to $100,000 to be able to
mm,
organize that event. So
mm,
it's possible.
mm,
So MVMA can benefit from such things. I've seen
mm,
Tanzanian Vet Association, Kenyan Vet Association had benefited
mm,
from this type of grant
mm,
that I know of.
mm,
There's also grants you can apply for publications. Maybe you need to do some publication. You think if you get some backup money, maybe to do open access publication or to scale up what you want to do and publish, it will be better. So there is
mm,
also grant for this type of things. But so basically, those are the different type of grants I can mention
mm,
immediately.
mm,
So practically every area of human endeavor you think of, there can be one matching grant that fits the
mm,
purpose that can be applied for. So with regards to grant, it can also be in any field.
mm,
For example, the field of veterinary medicine can have grant, field of public health, field of animal science, practically any field. Yesterday, I was searching on the internet. I saw that even there are some specific grant for arts, and you just want to draw or you just want to
mm,
make some creativity, there are grants for it. And in that wise, we also need to know that may be heavy in some area than, for example, public health field now enjoy a lot more grants than animal health field. So if you are an animal health scientist, maybe in the field of infectious disease or epidemiology or something like that, why won't you think of in what way can what I'm doing relate to public health, and then I can benefit from public health grant apart from animal health grant? So
mm,
you now diversify your grant opportunity.
mm,
Or what if I think of my grant in the field of animal health? Can I relate it to the community so that I can benefit from social science grant as much as I'm benefiting from veterinary grant? It's
mm,
possible. You can also think of collaboration to enhance your grantmanship. For
mm,
example, in recent time, we put up a concept and we say, okay, we actually need an anthropologist to be on board. We included an anthropologist. We say, oh, we may need a social scientist. We incorporate a social scientist
mm,
because we diversify the team that will submit the application for this grant. And the grant is at advanced stage now. We've already submitted it together with SACIT, Southern African, SACIT is Southern African and Eastern African Community for Infectious Disease. So there are different types like that. So if you think that your possibility of getting a grant will benefit from diversifying, why will you not do it? In recent time, I was talking to some people and I told them about the issue of the tuberculosis research. You know, in the 80s and in the early 90s, tuberculosis research was almost dying out. I know
mm,
because I spoke with some researchers. I was much younger then, but I spoke with some researchers and asked them what is their view about. Nobody practically want to go to tuberculosis research because one, you need a lab in a separate location that is far off from humans so that you can't contaminate human being. You need to buy in some this thing, acid fast reagents and all those things, and you need this tuberculi don't even grow easily. So you are culturing one organism, you need to culture it over months and months and months before you can get results. What did they do? When the tuberculosis researchers found out that HIV is a hot thing, they just hook tuberculosis research to HIV. Then the tuberculosis researcher don't need to struggle again. As long as money is coming for HIV, a
mm,
percentage of that money will go to tuberculosis research. And
mm,
that was what transformed tuberculosis research. If you you can go online and Google and see how much tuberculosis research transformed between the 80s, 90s into the year 2000. The trend just swung up immediately and it had remained right at the peak there. So people in that field now don't struggle to even look for money for research. That is one thing. So in term of the funding mechanism, that's some of the things I can say. Now you the title, the topic, yes, the title have the word his in it. Sorry please for the interruption. Has the word his or the how easy it is to get research. I
mm,
can tell you when you talk of the ease is a relative term
mm,
which can move from how you look at it to what it should actually be. And the better you get at doing something, the easier it becomes for you. So we all need to understand that if you begin to think of research or begin to think of grantmanship and you begin to do it regularly, it become part of you and it get easier with you. I was on LinkedIn not too long ago, and I saw one young Nigerian who is currently in Canada in one of the universities there through a grant and a scholarship, and he was saying that he was very happy that he got this opportunity and all those things, but this is the 37th application he made before he finally gets this
mm,
opportunity. So
mm,
for most of us, we will throw in the towel and say, how can I try something 37 times? He had tried Commonwealth, tried different type of scholarship. Finally, he tried this one and he got it. Indeed, he was mentioning on LinkedIn that this is the fourth or fifth time he was trying this particular scholarship and he got it now. So they were showcasing him as an example of somebody successful. I also spoke with a guy from Ghana. His name is Stephen Senyo Tetega, and he said that he applied actually 30 times for different scholarship application, and currently he's studying international education and development at the University of Success in UK. But now he's not only studying because of his opportunity, because of the opportunity he had to try so many times and fail so many times. He's also now he had set up a consultancy firm where he now guide people on how to apply for research grant. So he's not only studying now, he's also doing business on the side because he had tried so many times, also have failed. So what this is saying is that you should not really just throw in the towel because you've tried once or twice and the thing didn't come in. Okay, let me give you some of the tips to getting postgraduate scholarship and grant opportunity. One, you
Okay,
need to
Prof, before you get to
okay,
the tips, right? I know
okay.
that's what a lot of people want to hear. First of all, we want to thank you for coming on this master class, right? Because some of us, our life has been easier because of some of these things you're saying, the grants, right? People automatically, when I put up the publicity that you got $400,000 grant, right? I started getting comments that, is this not scam? People in their mind don't believe that it's possible for you to get $400,000 without no string attached, just because you have a project and you're passionate about the project and an organization believes in the project. So I want you to please, maybe before you go into listing, right, help us address the mindset that think that grants are impossible. People don't
Okay.
the reason why I use the word easy is because I don't want people to just log off because they think it's difficult. You have to know somebody, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I wanted them to have like just believe that it's easy. Maybe you attend so that they can listen to your story and understand that these things that you're talking about, it's possible, it's easy, and it's doable. So if you can just spend a little moment addressing the fact that it's easy, sir.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that question. In addressing that question, I think it's better to narrate it as a story. First, when I was going for my masters in University of Pretoria, I got well, as I said, you need to make a mindset. I just made up my mindset. I'm not doing my postgraduate in Nigeria. That was the first thing. And then I didn't have money. I never really have what I can say is the opportunity for me to. I just know that I'm not doing my postgraduate in Nigeria. Indeed, I was at University of Ibadan just a year before that, and I was collecting almost 7, 8 postgraduate application. So somebody asked me, "Oh, you came to collect application for your postgraduate?" I told the person, I said, "No, I've told you I'm not doing my postgraduate in Nigeria. I'm just collecting this on behalf of my colleague back in VOM then." So when I finally got the admission the following year, indeed, I remember I have less than 15,000 naira in my account. And I'm going to the University of Pretoria. The return ticket alone then was about 125,000. And I estimated the cost of the first year of study is about 1 million. Then I just put everything together and I said, no, I will not be able to do this if I just think of what. So the impossibility part is there. But you see, opportunity to convert your negativity into positivity is what matters. So I just made up my mind, I'm going no matter what. And I spoke with some people. I should have had money actually before that time. But unfortunately, I just for some work in Spain and I have some money. And I just gave out a lot of money to a number of people. And then this admission came almost after I gave out almost everything I have. So I didn't have money. But then I have people who believed in me, and the MVRI then was the director then was really generous as Dr. Mrs. Lombin, now Professor Mrs. Lombin. She's one of the very generous persons to me. And she told me, oh, she was one of the person that actually encouraged me. Hey, young man, go to South Africa, because I used to think South Africa is one interland that we just get freed after after apartheid. So, but I made up my mind. So the institution, the MVRI, bought my plane ticket, And I was promised, don't worry, your salary will run while you are in school, but you have to make commitment to come back. I said, I will do that. And when I got into South Africa, within the first few months of my activity there, I got about 5 grants. So I actually have to expand and expand and expand my master's program. By the time I was finishing my master's program, I had about 12 publications from my master's. So that's another story. So with regards to grantmanship, you see, the limit of impossibility is there, but the limit of possibility is also
It's also
enormous.
there.
For
Fantastic.
example, this 400,000 that you talk of is even small. Indeed, currently we are running a $5 million grant for Tanzania, which is a
Wow.
five-year project activity. So we run approximately $1 million on yearly basis, and we have some other small grants like 200,000, 250,000, 180,000. All those ones we call it small grants because we don't count them as something significant.
I
Indeed, the
think
four
you should
hundred
add
thousand
dollars so that people will know it's dollars.
Yeah, it's in dollars. The $400,000 project now we see it as small to medium type grant, and so the thing is that you need to look for opportunity. Also, keep your ears open to opportunity, and these opportunities are always there. Like this for issue of the 400,000. The story was that we were in a meeting, and while we were discussing the meeting, I saw this possibility. This thing was mentioned in the passing, and the person who mentioned it, I contacted her immediately after the meeting, and we got talking. I said, "Well, only if you can write the first concept between now and over the weekend, and by Monday if you can submit it, because the concept deadline is actually the following Tuesday." I told her, I said, "We will write it." And the project is actually about COVID. You will think, what does animal scientists have, or animal people in the field of animal health has to do with COVID? I told her, I said, come, in this way, you are talking of COVID now. You are addressing the city centers, you are addressing all these people that are around the city in terms of public health and all those things. Have you ever considered that there are the pastoralists who live in far off area, there are people in hard to reach area, there are people that are not easily accessible and who have linkages with animal, and they keep moving? How do you intend to get to those people? Say we can reach them because it is within our domain. I say, really, you can do it? Say, yes, we can do it. Say, okay, if you can give me a concept by next week, we submit your concept. If it flies, then you develop the full proposal. And we did submit the concept. The concept excites them because they've never looked at this issue from that angle. And I tell you, within a week, the this thing was approved, and they said, okay, develop it into a full proposal targeting this area, but maybe don't venture too much into public health. We said, don't worry, we will not go into public health. We stay within the field of animal health and the owner of animals. And we developed it. And now we've created another opportunity. We have to recruit another officer in Tanzania who is a Tanzanian. We have to begin to think of how to implement the project now because the money is in the kitty as we speak. So it's very possible. And the grant is always there. Indeed, just 2 days ago, I just checked one of the databases. Do you know I saw more than 100 grants available in just one database? And so this money is almost always there. The point is that if you are hungry and the food is in front of you and you don't eat, who is to blame? It's not the person who serve you the food. It's your lack of knowledge that is to blame. And if you die of hunger, you cannot hold the person who presented the food to you. You have to blame yourself because you did not have that understanding that this food in front of you is you. Thank you.
I think you just hit on something very important that I want to stress. Prof said, if there's food available and you die of hunger, then it's whose fault? For all our teaming audience, I want you to know I've also been a beneficiary of grants, right? They are almost always available. Like, they are almost always available. The issue, and as Prof has mentioned, is that when we try once, because we don't meet certain criteria, or probably because we don't understand, we give up. You can see somebody has tried 37 times. If you're hungry, you think this is important for you, I believe this masterclass is something you are not just going to watch once, you're going to watch it again. Because again, The more you practice on an ideal that you want, the better you get at it, and then the more likely that you will succeed at it. Before Prof moves on, if you are watching and you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, while you're watching, just click on the subscribe button. And I know that what Prof is saying, it's a master class on its own. I want you to give a thumb up to the video, and after the master class is over, you also have an opportunity to share in all the platform that you belong to. So that more vets, the more we succeed. This thing is not one person's idea alone. The more we the reason why Professor Fasina is coming up again is because he has succeeded in his chosen field. We want to have 100 of Professor Fasina in another 5 years, in another 1 year, and we will be glad to be part of the process, or to be the person who has provided platform for this awesome knowledge that Professor Fashioner is going to be sharing. We will also have an opportunity to ask questions. So the next 10-15 minutes, we're going to be giving it to Professor Fashioner uninterrupted, to be able to share with us, how do we get this grant? How do we assess them? Where do we look at? How do we go about it? And once he is done, then we'll enter into the question and answer segment. Thank you so very much, Professor Fashino, for this eye-opening masterclass. Then it's over to you now.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, as I mentioned earlier on, you see, every opportunity you have, you can convert it. For example, I was thinking of these master class sessions that you are doing. Do you know, if you package them well, for example, you've had a number in recent time, you can package them and maybe through MVMA or through the VCN, through another body, approach some of the, for example, just today, my deputy in Tanzania just sent to me, because currently I'm in South Africa, just sent to me now. The same one of the same set of people, organization that gave us recent grant is approaching us again. Can you utilize this BHA grant? And we say, okay. She's asking me, do we go for it? I said, of course. Why will you not go for it? Take everything first. We will think of what to do after the money is indicated. So that is the approach that we need to have. For example, this set of master class can be put together, and you can think of approaching an organization who can help you scale it up. What they want is to see their logo or their brand attached to the market until deadline. I know we Nigerians, we usually like to wait until the last minute, then we quickly rush in. If the organizer of the meeting is considering something like a rolling grant, so they will be considering all the application as they are coming in. If had enough good application before your own application comes in, they may decide to just discard all the other application without considering them again, unless you have an overwhelming evidence why your application should still be considered. That's one thing. So it's better to apply as early as possible. You may be in the early category that is already pre-selected even before the application goes so far. So you also need to befriend with the internet and to check out for opportunities. I hope you are still with me.
Yes, we are with you. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Prof, we are with you.
I can see
Prof,
that
we are with
the
you.
site seems frozen.
But we are with you.
Hello.
Yes, Prof. Prof, can you hear us? Prof. Hello, Prof. We are with you. Yes, Prof. Can you hear us now?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
I saw that the site was frozen at one time.
Okay, but we could hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, we could. Yes,
Okay,
we
I
can still hear
was
you.
I was saying that it's good to apply for grants as early as possible. Don't wait until the last minute. I know most Nigerians we love last minute rush, but I was saying that the fear of waiting till last minute is that by the time you are supplying, if it's a rolling grant, the organizer may have got enough good application and they can decide to maybe suspend the process or not considering the other grant. One, I also said that you need to be a friend of the website. For example, I see quite a number of young people media opportunities. You can play the Instagram.
Prof, looks like something is wrong with your internet.
All the other things on the internet. But when it comes to using the same internet to look for correct opportunity, we don't do it. Many international universities have opportunities on their website. Many sites online, for example, African Academy of Science always post opportunities. You always see opportunities in AU bar site. You see opportunities in so many sites online, but we don't really bother about it. You see, we need to be friend with the Facebook, be friend with our social media, but at the same time, be friend with all these sites that are useful for opportunities. When you talk to your potential supervisor, ask them for potential opportunities. When you meet with your friend who is abroad or who is studying abroad and all those things, speak to them. Let them give you potential opportunities. And also seek for opportunities actively. And don't be a money monger. For example, if you are contacting your potential supervisor and the first thing you begin to ask him is that, oh, will I get money from this? Will money be there? Will there be this and that? No, no, no. Create a relationship, and then you see that this opportunity will flow easily. You also need to search for as many scholarship providers as possible. Don't be an internet illiterate, as I've said. You need to be literate both in social media stuff and in other things. You also need to pay close attention to the interest of each grant. For example, if you're applying for a grant like IFS, International Foundation for Science, you know this guy look for basic science, they focus on real science. You cannot be thinking of a developmental study or applied sciences and go to them. They will not fund it. If you have a developmental project in mind, you will know that DFID, USAID, Canadian Agency for International Development, and things like that is what you'll be approaching. Danida and some of them. If you are thinking of a blend between social science, science, and all those things, you will need to think of the interest of your funder. If you look at a funder, if you don't even know their interest, just go and look at the recent grant they've given and look at how it is skewed. It will give you the mindset of people who are taking decisions in such institutions. And you get to know, for example, when I got into Tanzania to lead the Tanzanian team, the first thing I get to know is that I want to know who is the head of USAID mission in Tanzania. What is his or her background? In what area are they studied? What was his interest and all those things? And any opportunity I have to meet him, I throw such interest to him and I discuss it and I skew it back to the veterinary field. So it was easy to, indeed, anytime there's anything, we don't only relate as grantor, grantee. We now relate more like friends and we speak more openly. And if there's any other thing I miss, he or she will even point me to it first before we know it. And that is one of the reasons why it's easy for the office in Tanzania to be able to seek and get so many grants. So get someone else's to read your application. For example, when you finish pulling together your application,
Looks like your network is
you
breaking.
think, oh, she will steal my idea. If you always have that mindset, you may not go far because then you'll be limited to your own idea alone. Also, you can also collaborate. If you think, oh, I've got some weak area, maybe I'm a good microbiologist, but in terms of epidemiology, I may not be able to do well. Why don't you think of looking for a good epidemiologist and jointly develop this proposal together and submit it? And also, you need to manage your time well in grant application. For example, as I said, you need to know the deadline of the grantors. You need to know what are their interests. You need to know how to meet their interests. When they set out to give a grant, there's always what they are looking for. You need to read critically within the line to know those things and then focus on it. And as I've said before, Keep applying. Winners don't quit. Actually, the most important thing is that you don't give up on your dreams. If you have a dream to focus on something, never give up and keep applying again and again. And it's if it's about postgraduate opportunities that you are looking for alone, it's always good to start early. You know, for example, in most universities abroad, they have the fall season, they have the spring season. Most of the thing they will do in fall, grant application, everything will start in spring. And so, as you are building your postgraduate application for your master's, PhD, be building the scholarship application alongside with it. It usually go together, and it's easy to get your grant that way. Let me stop at that and allow for questions or for some other inputs.
Prof, we can't thank you enough for this insight, right? Before I start asking people to post questions, I want us to know that what Prof is saying, he mentioned something in his story that the more you do something, the easier it becomes. That first application that you will write is your very first step to getting it. That might not be your only step, but that's your first step. And life could be, I've also participated in a few grants. Life could be easier because there are people who have the funds. In fact, some of these people earmark large sum of funds looking for people to execute. So Professor Fasina said when he was starting, he said it's when opportunity meets preparation, right? I keep telling my team, we have to prepare because the opportunities are there. When they come and they meet us prepared, then people will think you did money medicine. You have an idea, you have a focus. The first application, it's your gateway to the numerous opportunities that you will have going forward. So I'm going to be getting, okay, so if you have any question, right, the first thing you need to do is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I highly recommend that. Then if you know that what Professor Fasina has shared, you like it, I think it's only appropriate to give Prof a thumb up. And I'm expecting more of that. Then if you have any question, you can engage us on the chat room, and then Prof will be answering them one after the other. So, Prof, the first question I want to ask is when people, so first 2 3 points that you could give on why applications are rejected. Why do you think applications are rejected? First 2 3 points, let's learn. And then
Okay.
afterwards, you will now talk about how to handle the fear of rejection. Because somebody has
Okay.
told you no 37 times. If you don't have good self-esteem, you will be knocked out. In fact, no once this crashes some people. Like, and you know how they send you a mail, sorry to inform you that your application was not considered. You get that the first mail, you apply, you get that again, you apply, you get that again, you apply, you get that again. So two questions in one. First, or maybe you should answer, no, let's answer the first one. What are the things that gets rejected? And then secondly, how do we handle this this demon called fear of rejection? Go ahead, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. If you consider some of the tips I gave before, if you take particular note of them, it will help you in reducing the risk of your application being rejected. But I will also talk briefly about developing your proposal to meet the need of the hour. For example, if I need to get married now, and I'm looking for a light skinned girl and all those things, and almost all the girls that are coming across me are dark skinned, I may not likely have my selection among them. And so it's not as if those dark skinned girls are not beautiful, but they did not meet my specification. That's it. And that is exactly what most of us do when we seek for grants. And we just believe that the grantor should just consider my application the way I submit it and just approve it. No, it doesn't work that way. For example, in writing a proposal, your title needs to be appealing and needs to meet the need. For example, we talk of a development partner now. You are writing a grant to a development partner, and you are writing only in the line of basic science or the field of health, and you are only writing your proposal to target the field of maybe social science and all those things, and it doesn't have any relevance to health, how is it going to appeal to me? So your title, your basic title for your research need to be appealing. In terms of, you don't need to write too long a title which is narrative. You can write actionable title. It has to be clear. It must reflect the focus of your proposal. It must be unambiguous, and it should be seen like a mini abstract. For example, if I read your title, I should be able to have an idea of what your mindset is. What do you want to gain, or what do you want to come up with at the end of the day from this work? Again, another thing is that a number of us, we work in organizations or we relate with organizations, but and those organizations have their strength. When you are preparing your proposals, you are only showcasing high. You never showcase the strength of your organization with you. It is wrong. For example, let's say when I was in NVRI and I'm writing a grant, I will let them know I belong to NVRI. NVRI has over 60 or 70 years of being in this field and had led to the development of ABCDE. I first show the strength of my organization to reduce my own weakness. You work in a university, you are writing, you never even mention your university or some of the inventions or innovation that come from your university. It is like you are shooting yourself in the foot already. The accomplishment you've had, the leadership that had come from your institution, the track record you've had, maybe some of the statistics of the previous grant you've won, you can mention them briefly in the passing. We've won this grant, this grant, this grant, this grant. In order to continue this work, we want to do this. So immediately the funders will begin to see you as these are not wasters of resources. If we give them resource, we believe they will be able to get outcome, because if they work in this institution or they work as a group and get ABCDE, we give them this money, we are sure we'll be able to get results, because that's the first thing the funders want to give you money, want to see results. You can also talk about the communities who are benefiting from your work. Most of us, we work in the community, and you see that your impact is being felt in the community. You never talk of it. For example, when we are writing our report for every work we do, we usually leave like a last page. We put it in graphics. We can say 700,000 lives had been touched. We are talking of human lives now, even though we are dealing with animal health. Who are those who own those animals, and what is the population of that community? For example, we did a small work in one district in Moshi in Tanzania, and we vaccinated about 76% of the total dog population in that community. When we were writing our report, we said over 700,000 human beings had been prevented from having rabies, because now we've provided protective immunity for the whole community. And if there is no case in animal, there will be no case in human. So now somebody will say, oh, so with this little money we give them, they can actually protect about 700,000 people in the community. So now we've transformed animal health into human health, into environmental health.
Fantastic.
So those are some of the ways you to prepare your document. You need to do a compelling description of the situation. For example, if you have a problem statement, write that problem statement in such a way that the funder will see that this problem needs urgent solution. If we invest in this, we are investing in the right thing, and we are not wasting our money. What do you intend to address as an organization? Is there a statement of need? Is there some critical need that you see, or something similar? Who are the people that are affected? Why is what important? Nobody is really ready to give you money to fulfill your hobby or to fulfill your desire. They want to give you money to solve a problem. So you need to think of that, and why is the problem occurring? So if you pre-identify some of these things, you mention it in your proposal. You also need to plan how to conduct monitoring, evaluation, and learning. One of the challenges I see, especially in most West African countries, that when we design our project, we don't put the aspect of monitoring and evaluation there. Monitoring and evaluation is about, okay, we said we will do this thing. This is how we intend to have the outcome. When is the outcome going to come? And how do we measure them? Are they measurable? For example, you see, most of us focus on processes. We don't focus on output and outcome. And when a funder give you money, what you want is an output and an outcome. For example, let me give you this simple narrative. You have a child, you are sending this child to school. Your purpose is not just for this child to become a graduate. That is not your purpose. Your input is the school fees you pay, the books you buy, the shoe you buy, everything you buy, the sending of the child to school and paying school fees all the time. Those are all your input. The processes are the training, the learning, the facilitation in class. Those are the processes which we focus on most of the time. The output is a graduate who has a degree. And your outcome is a responsible citizen which you want to produce tomorrow, who can now also contribute to the society. So if you look at it that way, you look at that outcome, you look at the output, you look at the input, you look at the processes, it will exactly help you to know how you should structure your research. If I'm structuring a research, oh, I want to do maybe community engagement, risk communication and community engagement, and the only output I want to say I have is that, oh, I will train 2,000, 3,000 people. And so what? After you've trained them, what do you expect to see after you've trained them? Is there a change in behavior? Is there behavioral change communication? Is there community changing? Is there adoption of some new technologies or some new protocol that will make things better? Those are the things that people are looking for. If you can write it that way, that means you already have your monitoring, evaluation in place, and you can actually monitor what you are doing, and you can measure your output. That is one thing. Also, the sustainability plan. Okay, if I give you 50,000 or 100,000 to do this project, you see that the same day the project ends, that is when the whole thing ends. Is there a way we can sustain this? For example, if you are doing something and you already bring in the private partnership into it, you know, private partner, they know they are going to make money from this thing. If it continues and all those things, they are going to sustain that program. So if you are doing the project or if you are writing your concept, after introducing it to the community that will benefit from it, are you thinking of what are the plans by which this community can sustain this program even when I've ended the project? If you include it in your project, it's likely to be more acceptable. Also, realistic budget. You see, I once attended a meeting on this budget preparation for meetings, and then the person was telling us, said he had been one of the people who sits on board of grantmanship and approve or reject grant. He said when he look at your project and he goes to your budget and he see that almost all your figures end up in 000000000. That means you really does not put a thought into defining those budgets. That means you just estimate, oh, let's just put this on 500,000. Let's just put this on 300,000. He said, how can you be exact on the 000 dots for every of your budget item? Say if, for example, you want to buy something, it costs 354,526. How can you just say everything is 000? Say, so he said that's one of the little tips. He's not saying that for every project that I end the 0 budget, that means wrong. But he's saying that he wants you to put some thought into preparing realistic budget that show your line item, the total program budget. Do you have other funding sources? What are the amount requested? And do you even cost what your own input is? For example, if you are working in partnership with a ministry now, the ministry will give you a staff to work with you during those times. They may give you some of their project vehicle or some of the office vehicle to work. They give you office space, they give you all this. And do you cost for those things? And cost it as part of the budget that which you are contributing into the project. If you can show this, that we are already contributing this into the project, we only want you as external funder to fund this part, this part, this part. You will be making meaning. And then it's always good to put an executive summary. Executive summary is a sort of a simple narrative of what you now want to do, because in most cases you may have write a lot of jargons which does not make meaning to people outside your field. For example, if you are writing in the field of veterinary medicine now, People in social science, people in other fields may not know almost everything you are writing. So if you put that executive summary, which is a simple narrative of what you want to do and the outcome you want to do, then you make it easier for all of them to be able to follow. And the necessary attachment, some of the attachment you think may add value to your work, you need to add it. Let me stop at that for now.
Oh, Prof, you've said so much. I'm not sure if we can consume everything you're saying just by listening once, right? Because you've said really very silent points that if people pay attention to, right, they will be able to have access to some of these grants and more. So I will encourage every one of us. First, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I think you should do that right away. It's a very good timing to do that. If you're not giving Prof a thumb up, I want you to take a moment, just give Prof a thumb up. He's sharing very useful insight that sometimes we pay. You could say, I had a friend. Who taught me around how to apply for this grant, and then we applied for some together. We won some, we lost some, and then I realized that you could say the same thing, in a way that nobody wants to listen. And another person can pick up that same story and say it in a way that the whole world wants to listen. One has to be really very skilled. Okay, Prof has gone off. I believe he's going to join. One has to be really very skilled in your narration, because you have to put into perspective the kind and interest of the grant you're applying for. More importantly, you also have to put into perspective how will the person that you're talking about, the person you're writing to, how will he perceive and take in what you are saying. Prof, we are time is gone, right? And I really want us to pick a few questions between writing. Okay, so
Yes, I'm here.
let me pick one of the questions and bring it up to the screen. What are my chances without a history of winning grants before? Apply and win a grant. Well, I know you've answered this, right? When Prof started, he said somebody had written for 37 times. And you are better off writing it and
Yeah.
writing it again, right? Prof, you want to make comments around the question?
Yeah, thank you. Your chance of getting a grant is actually as best as your grant document appealing to the grantor. It can be, you may be a first time winner. I've done that before. I tell you, the first assignment I did at the international scene, I competed with some professors and I won. And then I had only my first degree. Indeed, people were discouraging me that how will you apply for this with a first degree? And I applied and I won against some of my professors and I went for the meeting. It's fine. So you may be a first time grantor. You also have to be realistic with your expectation. For example, don't bother about whether the first grant you win is a small grant of $10,000 or $5,000. The fact that you've won a grant, no matter how little it is, even if it's 200,000 naira, put it on your CV that I've won this grant before. It emboldens you and it actually makes people to believe in you that you can do better the next time. So from the small grant, you can move to medium grant, you can move to big grant, you can move to a grant of hundreds of millions of dollars later. So it does not matter that you should only target only very big and very gigantic grants when you are starting. You can apply for 4, 3, 5 grants of small amount and combine them together to achieve a purpose. The thing is that you are a grant winner no matter how small the grant is. If they are calling people who have won grants before, you can say I've won a grant of 5,000 naira and it sponsored me to MVMA convention. So it's something. So it doesn't matter what quantity or what amount it is, the grant. It matters that you are winning. And so it's good to keep applying and to keep trying. And don't shoot yourself in the foot that, oh, I will not try. I think this is too much for me or this is too little for me. If you think you don't have that capacity, you can combine effort and jointly write grants with other people, and you can be successful in it.
So again, it's not the amount, it's the first try you need to engage in, and then you could win at the first, you could win at the second. The point Prof is trying to make is that ensure you meet all the criteria and make your grant writing appealing. I think this is going to be about the last question we'll answer because of our time. We're running really out of time, but again, I think this is really a masterclass everyone needs to listen to over and over again. Good afternoon, sir. I want to kindly inquire if there's any link to apply for grants. If are there links, are there sites you can check? Maybe you could quickly touch on that. Then we'll try and fold up.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Actually, before this meeting, I shared something with the organizer of the meeting. Maybe they will make it available to everybody because I shared just about 16 links or 15 or 16 links of some of the sites you can have a look at. Some are direct site for the funder, and some are databases that contain list and list and list of funders. So if they can share it with everybody on the forum, it will be good. You'll be able to check what you are qualified for, what you need a partnership for, and what you are qualified to even apply. For example, just about 2 days ago, a friend of mine, we are friends on Facebook, he wrote to me from Egypt. He want to apply for this STDF grant, which is a grant between the US and Egypt. It's a mobility grant, a sort of, wherein half of the money will be retained in the US, half of the money will come to Egypt. And he was asking me for my idea and for my input. I told him I will not be the best to support him in this grant, and I linked them with one of my colleagues in the US who we've been working together for more than 15 years. And currently, they are jointly developing the proposal they will be submitting. So it's always good to try your hand and to see what your limit is. And this site, I'm sure a number of them will be shared. The one I shared with the organizer include the one for Commonwealth, the one for the NEDA, for it's a blend actually. Some for direct funding, some for research, PhD, masters, some for development assistance, some that is suitable to scale up your business. Maybe you have a small clinic but you are doing fantastically well and you want to scale it up. These are type of grants you can apply for. So there are quite a number of them which I shared, which can be very useful for you. Thank you.
All right. So for any one of us who need the documents, I've shared a number on the message box. So WhatsApp only. Just say hi. Professor Fashiona's link to grants. Once I see that, I will immediately forward the document to you. Prof, are you? I know the last masterclass you held, you said you are available for mentorship. There are people also here, and that's about the last thing I'm also going to ask you before we call this a day, because our time is gone and there are so many things to still touch on. Somebody wants to take the first baby step to start and write for a grant, right? Do you have, maybe will you have a kind of special spare time to have the person help go through the grants and review the person's application just to increase the person's chances?
Definitely, yes, indeed. Just yesterday, I was talking to one PhD candidate from Sokoto, and he was asking me, "Oh, where can he do ABCDE?" And I told him, "Don't only think of going outside alone. Indeed, in IITA, just beside you there, IITA is in Ibadan. They have all the facilities this guy wants." And I told him, "Please contact IITA. If you have challenges in contacting them, let me know." Because I have a student who is actually going to do his own work also there in IITA. So you see, one thing we need to do, and which the moderator had mentioned earlier on, is for each and every one of us to develop each and every other person next to him. You see, if our profession is very well highly rated, it is a glory to all of us. You see, I've once mentioned before that I once entered a physician's practice in South Africa. And when I mentioned that I'm a veterinarian, that physician began to look at me specially. He was looking at me specially. Vets are very well rated in South Africa, indeed, much more than the medical doctor, because there is only one vet school. So it's really a class thing to be called a vet in South Africa, especially if you're also a wildlife vet or you are an equine vet or a companion animal vet. So we need to begin to think of how to brand our institution in such a way
Exactly.
that it add value to all of us. So I'm available for mentorship and I'm available to provide support within the capacity which I can provide it. Thank you.
Professor Fasina, the last master class you held was a real master class. And then, of course, it also shows in the number of people that have watched it afterwards. This is also a time bomb, and I think a really effective tool for anybody who want to start and grow in the issue you've just mentioned, grantmanship. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I want you to do that right away. If you've not given Professor Fashioner a thumb up, I want you to also do that. I want to thank every one of us that has joined this masterclass. More importantly, I also want to thank everyone who will pick up the recordings of this video and share among our colleagues. The more we succeed, the better we all are, and then the more, of course, every one of us rise together. I want to thank you all for joining, and more importantly, I want to thank Professor Fashino for sparing out time to ensure that this is done. Thank you so much, Prof. I will see every one of us in the next masterclass. Have a wonderful day.